Hello and welcome to the Full FX Unfiltered. My name is Colin Lambert. I'm co-founder of the Full FX and delighted to be joined today by an old friend, Mark Suter. And I mean old in terms of length, we've known each other. Just get that one started now.
Yes, yep.
This is not going to be a Gen Z video. Who's chair of Digital Vega. As always, great to see you, Mark.
Thank you.
I thought it'd be good to get a catch up on maybe some of what's happening in Digital Vega, but also some of the broader trends we're seeing in the industry. We've been talking electronification and automation a lot.
Yeah.
My sense is it might be starting to actually accelerate. My senses have been wrong before.
No, it definitely is. It definitely is. And I think across all the market segments as well. Obviously, you have some very sophisticated hedge funds that are running quite complex models and want to be able to automate the whole execution process. You have more asset managers now coming into the space. They've had to deal with complex manual workflows for some time, and now I think they're embracing. There's the blocks project we're working on with the CME. An interesting one really is the Hydra project. Should I go into that now?
Yeah.
So the Hydra platform was built originally to service private banks, automating and pricing not just vanillas but complex structures, and that's been pretty successful. But we were approached a couple of years ago by a big American bank who I think was under pressure potentially to find a way of automating all their internal workflows for options. I mean, for a lot of this sort of, I guess, second tier banks, options was a kind of a small business but very complicated, and it was all done very manually. It was kind of post-it notes and chats and things like that. But I think that with the way regulation is going, they needed audit trails, timestamps, et cetera. So we piloted with one bank, and we've done that. That's now global. A salesperson anywhere in the bank can price any kind of structure, give a pretty accurate price to a client. If a client wants to trade, that request goes to the trading desk. They can price, send a dealable price back. Client executes, they then do allocations, STP, et cetera. So full audit trail, and it speeds the whole process up. And that's really grown. I think we've now got about 8 clients that are using all or part of that. Some use their own internal liquidity, their own trading desks, price all of the options. Others it will use us for external liquidity as well. It's a classic white label, but it seems to work, and there's definitely, I think, a growing appetite for that as the second tier banks want to be able to have some kind of presence and price efficiently electronically, because now over the Medusa platform, if you request a price from, say, 5 banks, reasonable option, you'll get prices back within 5 to 10 seconds. So that's what the second tier guys, they need to be able to compete with that.
Yeah.
They're being left behind. So they need to automate their pricing, automate their processes, automate STP, automate confirmations. I mean, automation is really the key theme that goes through all this.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it's coming against a background of increased FX option volumes. Yeah. And we had a period where it was a little bit up and down. If you look at the surveys, yeah. There's been a definite boost. I guess volatility will do that in markets. But, I mean, is this also part of the driving force, do you think, behind the increased demand? The fact that people are saying, oh, hang on a second, FX options is a real product.
Yeah, there's definitely a growing awareness. And for an old person, to me, it's definitely a generational thing. When I talk to some of the guys on some of the desks, some very bright people out there. But yes, it's an asset class, and what we've been able to do is, whereas it was once very manual, very cumbersome, we can automate literally the whole process. So that reduces friction costs, it reduces operational costs, and provides a pretty good outcome. So I think we're always looking at ways to improve the process, to improve the workflow, to improve the end cost to the consumer.
We can't have a conversation in this day and age,
right,
without talking data.
Yeah.
Obviously, data is a big factor behind automated trading,
yep,
rather than the workflow. What are you doing in the field of data? Because obviously, it's relatively limited, it seems to me.
Well, we're using a certain amount of data already. We're working on I suppose you'd call it almost real-time pre-trade TCA pricing analysis that looks at how particular LPs are pricing certain structures, certain currency pairs, which will allow us to basically juggle or adapt the panel based off clients' profile, currency pair, structure, et cetera, rather than just blankly blasting it out to a bunch of banks and hoping somebody's going to price it. We will know who's the best or the best five for a certain structure pretty accurately. The nascent CLOB, central limit order book for the interdealer order book we've been working on is already starting to raise interest in terms of data, because that will be a really rich data seam in terms of where whole surfaces are trading, depth of book, and these will be real-time updates, real-time trade notifications. So that's going to be a hotspot for us. I think at some point what we want to be able to do is blend the different data sources we've got into one.
Yeah.
But they're quite different and they're quite complex, and it's not going to be a simple calculation. So we're gearing up once the order book starts to generate real flow to come out with a valid data offering. Now, we did a little bit of, shall we say, under the covers analysis, or asking what people are charging for vol data, and it's expensive. It's very expensive. So
data is full stop.
Yes, I know. I think hopefully we're sitting on something quite valuable. We haven't really done anything much with it, but there's definitely an interest, particularly from the sophisticated, systematic guys.
Yeah, and I guess also that better data can also bring in new participants.
Yes.
You're talking about systematic hedge funds, but there are other trading firms that will, that predicated on data.
Yeah, and I think what we want to do is we want to engage with others. I think particularly conversation we've had with the asset managers, which is they want more TCA. They're used to having reams of TCA in the cash markets, but there's not very much available in the option market. If they're putting on very big trades, they want some level of comfort, and we'll operate kind of an algo for breaking larger trades into smaller trades and executing them over a certain timeline. If we back that up also with a much more reliable data source and TCA, that's the model that they seem to want and adopt. So,
which kind of reflects what they've got in other markets, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It is.
So they're trying to keep their workflows the same.
Yeah.
But I mean, does it become more complex? I mean, you say FX options and TCA in the same sentence, and I just sit and think, how many different option products can a client trade? How the hell do you TCA all of them? I mean, does it come down to giving some sort of relative value, some sort of basis?
It's a bit difficult to TCA for something like a target profit forward accumulator, but
just what I was thinking.
Yes, but for 95% or 93% of the market is vanilla anyway, so that's easily accessible. As you say, it's becoming more transparent, and there's data that we need to have a conversation with CME about producing potentially a mix of OTC and listed data. I don't think anybody's done that yet. I mean, the blocks project's moving along quite well. We've got a couple of market makers signing up and connecting, and a couple of buy side to get the blocks project rolling. But I really get the sense that, and I read this more regularly, that there is definitely more of a coming together. Now, whether the word we're allowed to use is fungible at some point, but who knows?
One buzzword for the week.
I know it is.
Yeah, but then again, I mean, that's probably good to hear, because that was the idea behind the whole blocks project, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
To kind of create some sort of fungibility.
Yeah, and again, it's a combination of automation, because trading blocks historically has been really clunky. It's been, chats or phone calls and things like that.
Yeah.
Whereas we now provide a seamless solution, and there's a cadre of clients who can only trade listed. So I think there's quite a big audience out there potentially. I mean, like everything, it's when we first started DV, convincing banks to price into a multi-bank platform. They said, "Are you mad?" But we've come along, and we're kind of going through that now. It's a different group of different audience, and it's same questions being asked by different people, but ultimately, it's a logical step, both for them and for us.
How realistic is that sort of dream of true fungibility? Is there always going to be an element of parallel rails that come together? Like, I guess, the railway with the points?
Well, I mean, it's a slightly glib comment, fungible, but to the point where we think there'll be very liquid markets to be able to swap between the two. I mean, we'll just do what the option market does, what the cash market did 8 years ago or 7 years ago. So I think that the two will definitely come together, and there'll be market makers that will quote you in and out to do it. So it becomes very easy to do. And what we want to be able to do is ultimately have the two markets literally side by side, so you can do real-time analysis, where's best value, including things like margin calculations, so the all-in cost of executing whether you trade listed or OTC, and if I want to swap between the two.
And I guess also blending liquidity,
Yeah.
but creating, obviously there are going to be slightly different products.
Yeah,
You know,
but they're pretty homogenous. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's a strike price, an expiry date, a notional, and the cut's the same. So they are getting more homogenous all the time.
We talk about automation. Is pin risk still a thing in FX options?
It is when you get into larger tickets. I mean, we've had the automated expiry process running for 3 or 4 years, and it works very, very well. I mean, touch wood, we've never had an issue, and we've got actually more of the systematic guys wanting to start using that. I did speak to the guys from the LCH a little while ago, and I think the thing is that once you start getting into much bigger tickets, it becomes almost a little bit too binary. So I think at some point we will have to look at some kind of partial exercise logic. So if suddenly I've got an option expiring of 500 million, it's right at the money. It could go either way. So if you can just do a partial, split it both ways. It's not difficult to do, but I think...
You're talking about a spot trader's dream.
Yeah, I know. Well, it would be a spot trader's dream.
500 yours, 500 mine.
Yeah, when I was at Chase, at the option desk, the spot desk, I was their biggest customer.
Yeah. I mean, it's good that this sort of stuff is being sort of dealt with, and I guess that's just part of a natural evolution and innovation.
Yeah.
And actually, you've given us quite a few insights into where the market structure could change. But from the DV point of view, what's next? What are you looking to achieve over the next period of time?
I think data is a key field. Broadening distribution. We've created some very good partnerships. So I think it's also potentially getting into more complex structures. The Hydra projects are actually doing very well, and that has evolved into indicative pricing, structuring, now execution, now into risk management, credit management. That may end up being incorporated into the order book. You've got a bank that's working on client orders. So at some point, I think what we'll do is that they'll knit closer together. The different products will knit closer together. Where go from there? The problem is we still think a little bit like a startup sometimes. So we're putting out fires left, right, and centre. But I know that there's a lot to do.
Yeah.
A lot to do.
And I guess I can't let you go without asking one fun thing.
Yeah.
CLOB?
Getting now very close. One of the major participants did a first test trade this week. That went through. We're close with another one. So we're aiming before Christmas to get it going. I think but it's critical for us. When somebody switches it on, there's a screens full of prices. I mean, when I was trading options about 100 years ago, it would be brokers howling, "Give me a run, give me a run." So what we've tried to do is use the existing infrastructure to allow banks to be able to publish runs very easily without having to type them in manually and do it slowly. They just push a button, they see what the run looks like, they can edit it and then publish it. So that's what we want, is just to make sure, because we've seen projects run where they start and say they launch, and then there's about one price on the screen, and most people don't have the patience, and they'll give it 2 shots, and then that's it, it's dead. So we need to make sure it's...
Most people don't have the patience. Never has a truer word been spoken.
Yep.
Well, I watched the CLOB with interest because it's an interesting journey for the market structure, if nothing else.
Yeah, I think it will be, and I think there'll be a lot of spin-offs on that. There'll be things we can do, things like midpoint matching. I mean, somebody talked about a dark pool. Yeah. Once you have that liquidity established, there's a lot you can do.
Yeah, indeed.
And most of the stuff that we've built over the years has been based off saying, can you make it do this? And we've done it. So I think what we've done over the years is build up a pretty good reputation, good relationship with most of the major banks, because we're quite small and agile, and we actually do what we say we're going to do. And they will say, listen, how about, can it do this, can it do that? And we've already made a few adjustments along the way and come up with a pretty sophisticated, what I would call dealing in specific contracts rather than just general, just almost emulating how voice brokers work, but with a full audit trail, full electronic, and obviously the data that comes straight out of that. So we're excited. Yeah.
Mark, always great to talk to you.
Yeah.
Lovely to see you again. Watch the progress with interest.
Okay, always a pleasure as well, and we'll keep you posted.
Great. And thanks everyone for watching, and we'll be back again very soon.